Today's pilot, based on a novel and purchased by Starz in an attempt to grab a female demographic, is executive produced by Brad Pitt and written by an acclaimed novelist. What do we think? Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Okay. A song for the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TV Pilot Reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. As I mentioned at the top, we're covering a new show on Starz called Sweetbitter, actually airing in the same time block as Vita. So I will be interested to see what everyone thinks. I definitely have some thoughts about this pilot. I want to be clear right now, guys. This is a TV pilot review show, so we've only seen the pilot of Sweetbitter, which we're covering today. We haven't seen any more episodes. This isn't an after show, so we'll have a mix of opinions, but we're letting you know whether you should pass or play on Starz' new show, Sweetbitter. My name's Jeff, guys, and I'm surrounded by a group of brilliant panelists. Let's start with Miss Linda Antwi.
Hi guys, Linda Antwi. I am all about it.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Sam Davidson.
I'm Sam Davidson. I thought I was gonna be all about it, and I am all about it, but I'm also not all about it, and I think you guys could probably help me mold my opinion, so I'm excited.
I love that.
Great, and D'Angelo Platt?
D'Angelo, I'm right in the middle, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, so we always start with our overall thoughts and our pass or play. I feel like I'm gonna be the buzzkill, so I'll go ahead and start. I really, really did not like this show. I hate to say it. I just had so many problems with. I just bit my tongue too. And it kind of hurt.
Bite your tongue. It's gonna be huge.
I'm literally and figuratively biting my tongue. There's one quote in this show that the character says to our main character, to our protagonist, that I feel like perfectly summarizes the way I feel about it. So rather than quote myself, I'm just going to quote the show. You've gotten by on your charm for so long that you haven't developed a character. That won't work here. You'll be back to whatever sob story you came from in a week, and you will have missed the opportunity to become a person. That quote perfectly summarizes how I feel about this show.
Well, maybe that's how you're supposed to feel because you're following that character, and as she develops, your feeling about the show might develop.
That is a good comeback there.
That's fair. But in the pilot alone, that came right from the script, and I'm on the exact same page as the writer.
Yeah, that works for a character, but it doesn't work for a show.
That's how I feel.
It's not interesting in the beginning. Yeah, it's not.
That's how I feel. I mean, yeah.
So did you feel the show was not interesting to you?
Yeah, I felt like the show wasn't interesting. I feel like there are so many other versions of this show. I'm kind of like, why this show? When we have a laundry list of shows about young 20-something millennials going to the big city, especially with shows like Girls that I think do it with more style. I just don't understand why this show, why right now?
Well, the restaurant aspect I thought was different.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm not saying I liked it, but it was different.
That's the one argument.
There was a fantastic show years ago. Bradley Cooper starred in it right before he got famous. I can't remember the name of it. He had his own TV show, and he was a chef of a huge restaurant, and it was a great show. It only lasted one season, but it reminded me a lot of this show. I love the kitchen dynamic.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Bradley Cooper?
Yeah.
It was called Kitchen Confidential
Yes.
from 2005.
Yes.
It actually only lasted 3 episodes.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
I've seen 10. They're on the internet.
Maybe
I was
they're
reading about
like
it.
they pulled
yeah,
it after 3.
They must have pulled it.
Because it came back. I know it stopped because of the playoffs, NBA, and for baseball playoffs. I was reading about this, and then it came back for a 4th episode, but the numbers were so low that it dropped.
Yeah.
It's a similar version to this, and I really enjoyed it. And there are more, so if you guys should check it out.
Well, I just feel bad because I wanted to like this show. Everything about this show, like low concept, single cam, intimate drama.
Yeah.
It did not work for me at all. I'm such a pass, and I hope you guys like it more because I do not like being this person.
I mean, I think I definitely liked it more than you did.
Good.
It's to my demographic. With that being said, the female, I don't think the book was necessarily YA, but it was definitely a early adult book.
Kind of like between adult fiction and YA. There's a specific zone that the book occupies.
Yes, like above Gossip Girl, when it was a book, and
Below Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner.
exactly that kind of thing.
Book jokes.
Sorry, D. Didn't mean to leave you out there.
But no, I'm gonna give it a. I read, guys. I'm gonna give it a pass, definitely personally, but I want to be convinced by other people.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm also gonna pass for audience too.
Oh, okay, wow.
I didn't hate it though.
Okay, so now I'm defending it.
Okay, well, I'm the only one that hasn't given their opinion. I'm a total play for it, and I'm a play for the audience. I have a background in serving industry, so this is right up my alley with all the stuff that's going on in the drama and the importance and for me personally, moving from not such a small city, but from another country to a big city like LA or New York. So a lot of things were just touched home. And I was like, you know what? This is so true. You really do go through like a coming of age and like you're all wide-eyed when you get there fresh and you have all these preconceived thoughts of the city that you're in. And then, the city shows you this is what we're really about.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because this is airing on Starz, right? Mm-hmm. And Starz is like their lane. I don't know what it is. You got Counterpart, which I love, with Vita, which we did last week, and you have this, and they're just all very different.
Well,
go ahead, Sam.
I was just gonna say I covered the first season last year of a Starz show called The Girlfriend Experience, and it had touches of that, but they tried to make it cute.
Right.
I mean, I get why it really wasn't the best that it could be because I kind of just felt like the executive or whoever was putting the show together was like, no, we need more of that from that show we know. We need more of that from that genre we know. And then just clumped it together and expected a super cute girl to kind of hold the whole thing, which I don't know if she necessarily did.
Real quick, Brie, I know you watched it as well, so I want to give our producer a chance to just give her overall thoughts, too.
Hey, guys. I watched it with Jeff. Pass.
Yeah.
I was not sold on this, unfortunately. For me, it just... There was nothing there to invest me in any of the characters. Mm-hmm. And I also come from the service industry, and I'm sorry, Linda, I disagree with you. It didn't hit for me.
That's fair.
One quick thing I want to say is you were saying this doesn't necessarily seem like it's similar to any other, like what is Starz' lane. Yeah. I will say I can see why this would make sense to air in a block with Vita. It is airing at the same time. They're both a 6-episode run. I feel like in theory they want to be doing the same thing. They want to be giving us a small town slice of life. But I just feel like for me, Vita's doing it in such a more culturally rich way.
Agreed.
And it's funny, Girlfriend Experience too, I can see maybe why they're trying to grab that same demo. I feel like to me, what Starz is doing, and you guys can let us know in the comments what you think, but it seems like they're either going for these really high budget big shows to compete with like Thrones. So they have Outlander and they have Counterpart and American Gods, which is another huge, or they have these really small slice of life shows. Like it feels like it's either or.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing I will say about Vita, which I did watch the second episode today, even though it's a half hour and it's comical and dramatic, things happen and the story progresses. I can't see the story of this show progressing enough that they only have 6 episodes. Like, we're just going to see... I didn't realize that. 6 episodes of her just struggling as a waitress in this fancy restaurant with a semi-creepy... Daddy Boss.
Yeah, it was
it's my nickname in college.
Daddy Boss.
Semi-creepy Daddy Boss, yeah.
I think I'm changing the subject for sure. I think it's interesting. Like, so the ending, I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know if we're in spoiler town yet, but the end of it was so dissatisfying because I was just starting to care a little bit. Yeah. But the ending there was just kind of like, I think they assumed that I, at that point, had emotions towards the main character, and I wasn't there yet. I was almost there, but it just wasn't there for me. Maybe with a second episode, I'd be better.
I did at the time. I was just really in the zone. I was on my patio, had headphones on my laptop, looking out, going, why don't I watch TV like this more often? Very much enjoying myself. Yeah. So I moved on to the next episode, and then I stopped myself because guilt. And but I enjoyed it, and I enjoy crappy shows sometimes. I will admit it. Like,
is it a crappy show? Is that what you're saying?
I think it might be kind of a crappy show.
I don't know.
I wouldn't call it crappy.
To me, like, it's hard to describe. I can't. I'm having trouble attaching any adjectives to it.
It has excellent cinematography.
Beautifully shot. Yeah, there's some stuff I like about it. The performance is good.
Caitlin Fitzgerald, who I just covered Unreal, the third season of Unreal, and Caitlin Fitzgerald, the blonde in it, what was her, the snooty...
The one that knew everyone.
That's where I knew her from.
Yeah, so she played the Sutress in Unreal this last season. So she was the star of Unreal that we just finished a couple weeks ago, and she didn't come on our show because apparently she was shooting this show. Whatever. I liked her a lot better in the other one, but she always plays the same sort of character, has a stick stuck up her butt.
Yeah. I just like to go back to like the is it crappy, is it not? What's interesting is I just felt like it was so... I can't even think of a word. Like, I'm having trouble ascribing any adjective to it because I just felt like the show started and then all of a sudden it was over. And I was like, what was that for?
Well, what do you want to say?
Sorry, Linda is just sitting. We're
I
hating
want-
on
I
the
want-
show
we're
that
all
she
just
likes.
doing-
I
I'm
want
just
you.
listening.
I
Jump
want
in,
you
girl.
jump in, Linda, because
Yeah.
like I want to see what you're seeing.
I just think that you got to think about moving from a small town, and they were just laying the foundation for this girl who knows nothing about a big city. She left all her friends, all her family, her schooling background, and is dumped in a city like New York City. And even though it seems mundane that we're watching her get acquainted with coming up to speed and onboarding at a restaurant, it's not just like a simple restaurant. This is like the restaurant of New York City, and I was reading up on it. It's an unnamed restaurant, but it's based off of Union Square Cafe, which is the most iconic restaurant by Danny Meyer, and he's like a huge hospitality thing. So if anyone has ever worked in the service industry, like if you work at the restaurant, it's the restaurant, and it's about that. And she doesn't have, her character doesn't have the personality to deal with real people like this quote is saying,
Right.
because she's never been around people that are multi-layered and multifaceted. So what I liked about this pilot was that she was so simple, like everything was simple to her, very, very like black and white and easy breezy. But meanwhile, you saw like people that were from there, and not that they were vultures, but they were like vultures, and she was like the prey, and they were just feeling out like how far I can get away with it. So I think moving forward, they were just laying the foundation for this first 30 minutes, but moving forward, and I did cheat and watch the second episode.
You did not.
I told her, I was like, I felt guilty. She goes, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sorry, no secrets here, Linda.
Yeah, no secrets. So I think that you guys, you might be pleasantly surprised about where this goes.
Yeah,
But
I
do
mean,
you
I
feel-
think it gets dark. I think that's I'm freaking hoping it gets dark. I want some darkness.
Linda, do you feel that if like you hadn't had that option to move forward though, that you would have been invested to come back a whole week later?
I think that's a good question.
That's a really great question. Yes, because it's different to me because you don't really see, besides this Kitchen Confidential, you don't really see the background of restaurants. And when you do see the backgrounds of the restaurant, it's always about the chef and the sous chef and the line cooks. It's not about the front of the house where a lot of the drama happens between the servers and the bartenders and all the wait staff. So yeah, I probably would have come back. I mean, it's only 30 minutes, so it's not a big commitment to me. Like 30 minutes, which is like 22 minutes.
Well,
I
so
can
it's
do
like
that.
the entirety of 6 episodes is essentially going to go see a movie.
Yeah, 3 hours. Yeah.
Which I like. I do like that.
I just want to the thing that's frustrating for me that I know, then we'll get into some more of our segments, guys. We're just doing a long overall thoughts because we disagree, which is great.
Jeff's
'cause
upset.
Which is
We
great.
hardly ever disagree on this
Yeah,
show, so it's
I agree.
interesting. I think my frustration was like, you're right that it is like this new challenge of like she's at the best restaurant in New York, but I'm kind of like, is the conflict of this show really an unqualified white girl gets a job at the best restaurant in New York?
Yeah, not great timing, I guess,
I'm
culturally
just like,
speaking.
like, why was she given this opportunity if she's so unqualified?
Well, I almost, okay, so it reminded me a lot, Coyote Ugly. Anyone else a big, sorry.
I like Coyote Ugly. It was a good
all right,
movie.
same story.
Yeah.
Also, and then Rock of Ages, talking Los Angeles instead of New York City. She comes, I mean, she sings, they have talents, they do things, they at least get up and they like make things happen.
Yeah, but she doesn't know what she wants to be.
Right.
And I think that it's okay that she's this young white girl that's coming to a city that's culturally diverse, because we don't know where she's from. And she's probably from, small town America where everyone looks like her and acts like her and talks like her. So to come to New York where everything is super diverse and being thrown into this restaurant where, like, why did she get hired? Well, why didn't she not get hired? Like, give someone a chance. She went to multiple places to get hired, and I guess he saw something in her, or he wanted to
You're
give
right.
her a chance.
Or
I don't know.
wanted to
That,
see
I mean,
something
that
in
was
her.
part of why I think I wasn't invested, though, is because they didn't give me any reason as to why I cared about her.
That's my
Like,
There was nothing to root
I
for.
mean, I get that she was but I've seen a lot of, small town girl moves to big city all on her own, and I know that they're trying to create this mystery of some past of her. We kind of get a feeling for, but it just like without me knowing that past, without me knowing the stakes, I don't know why I'm invested in this girl that came to a city, and within like the first days she's there, gets a job, has an apartment, and it's seeming pretty easy for her.
Yeah, it did seem, I think, but I hear your point. Linda's point is a good one, and that's that, like, she's Alice and this is Wonderland. And like in Alice in Wonderland, that character isn't necessarily defined, but it's the world around her that's interesting.
That's right. That's what I think. Because I don't think necessarily her role and the way she portrayed the role was fantastic. I was more interested in all the other characters, including the owner or the manager, whoever he is. His creepy dad, you called him?
Well, he reminded me so much of the Girlfriend Experience guy. They look the same. It's
Interesting.
weird.
Well, I do feel like we should get out of this segment and then
Yeah,
we can
sorry,
come back.
guys.
No, it's
Let's
okay.
keep talking about it.
It's all good. We're going to quickly talk about the development of this show, and I think we're kind of dancing around spoilers, so just so you know, after this segment, we will be talking more specifics about the pilot for those of you who have seen it. But as I mentioned, this show is called Sweetbitter. It's airing on Starz, and it's actually, the pilot was written and developed by the same author of this novel.
Yeah.
So that's Stephanie Danler, yes. And it's kind of cool that I love that Starz gave her full freedom. I would maybe argue they should have given someone with a bit of TV writing experience the opportunity, because maybe we would have gotten a better pilot, but that's okay. It's kind of shady of me, but that's how I feel. It was actually co-produced with Plan B Entertainment, which is Brad Pitt's production company, and Jennifer Aniston. And yeah, I think for those of you who haven't seen it, we've kind of gone over it, but there's not enough of these shows, but it's about a young girl going to the big city to discover who she is.
Were you being facetious
A little
there?
facetious
Yeah.
there. But yeah, so the lead, who's really the central character we get to know the best, Simone, is played by Caitlin Fitzgerald. And she's kind of surrounded by this cast of, she gets a job at a restaurant. That happens quickly. So she's surrounded by this cast
Well, no,
of
she's
waiters.
not Caitlin Fitzgerald.
Oh,
Caitlin
I'm sorry.
Fitzgerald is
The actress.
Yeah.
Well, no. So the one that comes to the city.
It's Tess is Ella
Yes.
Purnell.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. So this is bad, but the protagonist is Tess, and she's played by Ella Purnell. So Caitlin Fitzgerald's character is the sassy...
Simone.
Is like the tall blonde, knows what she's doing with the salt shakers, that
Cool.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I was going to say the mean coworker.
Yeah.
But she
that's
was
all
been
of them.
nice to her.
She's kind
She's
of
the
nice a little
nicest
bit.
You're
one
right.
to her.
So that being said, what I would like to do now is talk about these performances and these characters. This is honestly one of my biggest gripes, was we have the protagonist. It seems like all of her coworkers were so unreasonably curt. I know it's a trope in shows that, like, you got a new job, you're the new one, kid. But I had trouble believing that everyone would be so unreasonably rude.
In New York City, though,
It's
at
New
like
York,
such
though.
a big,
Is it?
right? I mean, I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I probably don't live there, because my feelings would be hurt all the time.
You worked in restaurants, Linda.
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you that, like, I think that was a dramatic effect, but you really don't have time when you're in a busy restaurant to deal with new people. So, especially when you know that they don't have an experience, so you do kind of act a little curt towards them, like, I don't have time for you until you get up to speed. Because you're just going to be in the way. If I tell you to do, like, table 24, and you don't know where table 24 is, or you're sitting with a guest when you're not supposed to, or you're calling them customers, like, all of it, all the little details. It's frustrating when you're already in, like, a it's not that it's high pressure, it's high pressure in that it's service, right? So you always have to be 100% on. So I think that those characters were true characters. Like, you're going to have, you know, a druggie, and you're going to want someone that takes that job super seriously, because that's their career. And then you're going to have, like, all the love triangles, and all of it is real. It's real.
You had a really interesting life, didn't you?
I know. I was like, my restaurant experience was really nice. Everyone was really nice to me. I didn't experience that at
I
all.
want to know the real story.
Let me write the pilot. now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely. I watched the Linda Anderson
What
story.
you're describing sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What we watched.
I know. Yeah, it's just funny. I think, like, because now we sort of talk about tone, unless we have any other major character things we want to talk about. Right now I'm sort of having trouble distinguishing these characters. I think is part of it. I don't have a lot to say about these characters because they're all sort of blank slates, at least in this pilot. And this is getting to another gripe I have. In terms of tone and style, I didn't find this show to be very stylish. Like, I feel like you love, like, if we're talking about shows about people in their young 20s, like Gossip Girl, for example. I know they're not in their young 20s, but they're young people.
Well, they are. They were.
Exactly. I wanted something. I wanted something like some shade or some laughs or some tragedy or some drama. I just couldn't believe how unstylish this show was.
I have a really interesting thought about that, because there was one point in the show, and I was like, don't do any research. I knew the name sounded familiar because of books, but I didn't know anything. I didn't let myself do any research. I'm watching this at one point thinking, when she ate the oyster, or whatever, I thought this could be some kind of a supernatural past lives. Like, I literally thought this could be a supernatural show when she ate that oyster. Like, oh, has she known him before? I had no idea what I was watching.
Right.
And then I felt stupid because no, it's obviously not that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost me
that.
with that scene specifically. Like, that's when I was like, bruh. Like, it's like, I thought, like, maybe she had, like, drugs or something. But,
Yeah, I
like, she
thought it was
literally
drugs.
was drinking
LSD?
oysters. Yeah, I'm like, bro, like, did they really play dramatic music and then go to an ocean?
That's
like,
what yeah.
At that moment, I was like, oh.
It's an
and then it ended.
aphrodisiac.
And then it ended after that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, when we
my
first
God.
saw that, I thought the flashback was gonna like give us what we've been waiting for the whole episode, like that
Something.
little that little thing, be like, oh, this is what we're headed for.
Yeah.
But no,
That was fine. I'm like, if the climax of your episode is a young woman eating an oyster,
Bruh.
let's get back in that writer's room. Like, let's do one more pass. That's just.
Unless she's like a time traveler, you know, I get it then, cool.
Yeah.
That could bring her back, but it's not what it is. Again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I took like that was a big deal for her because I don't know her history. First of all, did you notice that they never called her by name?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
That was weird, right?
Maybe
it
she
was-
doesn't deserve one. I
They
don't.
never called her by her name, Tess. Like I didn't know her name until I actually read it. But let's just say she's from a small town, which we know she is, and there were scenes where she was so enthralled with like the sexual encounters, right? So maybe she's just like some girl that has no life experience, no
Yeah.
like sexual history. So having an oyster would be like a big deal for her, especially when she had like those flashes in her mind that was like awakening her sexuality.
I mean, this is like her college, I guess.
It could
right?
be
She's
that.
gonna
Yeah.
find herself.
Yeah.
Well, didn't she say she
No,
was
she-
an English major?
Yeah, she
Oh,
was.
she
Yeah,
was.
she's
Yeah.
already been there, so she did. I guess she didn't learn much. Sorry,
So much.
I know. So
well,
much
no, maybe
shade.
she probably just stayed in the same hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the
Exactly.
same people.
I'm just like having an oyster. It could have been like having a shot.
I would say I can see how some small town people would be like offended by this though. Like they're
Yeah.
super dumbing them down.
Yeah.
Like small town people definitely have like layers and character.
I will say, I mean, okay, so it was released this episode on its own last week, and then this week a second was. When was the second?
Yeah,
one?
it's actually this is a week and a half old. I thought it
Okay.
aired this Sunday, but it actually did air with
May
Vita.
6th.
So I was gonna defend it and say, you know, maybe a few were released at the same time, but that's not.
Yeah, this
true.
was a standalone.
Yeah, this
Come
was
on
a
back.
I mean, you know, I get it. Cable can do what they want and random things, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't really make sense to have it on its own.
Yeah. I guess like my ultimate thought, well, just before we move on, like with style, whenever we're looking at half-hour dramas, if we look at some of the comparisons, like Vita, for example, it's this culturally interesting show with Spanglish and close-up shots of Mexican food and all this stuff. And I think of The Girlfriend Experience has all this really steamy sex. Like, honestly, that's part of the draw of the show. I am having trouble pointing to, like, you have to watch this show because. Like, what's the because for this show?
I don't know.
don't
They
know.
needed to get to it in the.
It should have happened in the first
The
episode.
Yeah,
oysters,
I'm sure something
oysters,
happens in the
man.
second episode where that's what it's there for. But
And I think that's why Linda is you.
Yeah.
I think if you just watched that first episode, you wouldn't be so tied to it right now. Honestly,
Maybe.
I
you
don't
cheated.
know.
You cheated. You should have felt bad.
No, but I was tied to it because I went to the second episode because it was tied to the first episode.
That's true.
Fair.
Well, and you saw something true. Like, you saw something true. And that's what TV, if it pulls you in
That's
with
what it
honesty,
was.
and that's totally fair. Like, I get that. And that's why I hope we don't feel like we're shading you because you liked it. I just.
No, I don't feel
just
that at
shading the
all.
show.
That's good.
I can stand alone on this.
Yeah, and I'm glad you are. I'm glad you
Strong.
like it, so I'm glad this isn't just a show.
I know
where
you like the show. What happened? Now you don't like it anymore.
I told you guys I thought you were gonna mold my opinions, and you did.
Yeah, Jeff brought me to the dark
Well,
side.
I'm
for sure.
hoping like people in the comments like it because I want to
Nope.
see. I'm glad you like it.
We
You've
have one
changed my
person
mind a
in the
bit.
chat.
What do they? Okay, so in the chat, what do they think?
Serenity Q25.
Hey, Serenity, you're here.
26.
It's good to
Hi,
see you
Serenity.
again.
26.
We love you.
Apologies. Apparently, I can't read numbers. The synopsis for the show was enough for me to say no thanks.
So Serenity's team, the rest of us this
Hey,
week.
it's funny because before, like, just hearing the reviews and stuff like that, I was like, oh, it wasn't as bad as the reviews make it seem like. It definitely had some resounding aspects, but if we're just going by the pilot, then
Yeah.
you know.
Well, the only things we have left to talk about are kind of like the themes of this show. Actually, in terms of writing, I will say, did you ever feel like at the beginning, you were hearing a novelist write TV?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
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 I felt like sort of to the detriment of the show.
The narrative thing at the beginning for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it usually,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I disliked it the most out of everything, but it made sense to me when I realized this was a book.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they should have allowed her to team up with someone who's done TV before. I think that would have helped it
For sure.
more.
Yeah.
But maybe that's too because I love novels, and it was like a visual novel.
Yeah, for sure. And it, again, beautifully shot, like a beautiful looking show. The themes to me are the thing that is the most interesting. I'm interested in a show about a lonely person in their 20s trying to make it in the city. Like, again, one of my favorite shows ever is Girls, and sometimes I hate that show, but in theory, on paper, I know you're not a fan of Lena Dunham or that show, but I'll stick to it. But on paper, I love this show. It's just an executioner what I have problems with.
That's how I feel about Girls.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you prefer this to Girls?
I haven't seen enough of it to decide.
Yeah.
No, I won't even go there.
No, you can.
I just think with girls, like, it's like my issue with Friends. Like, you live in a culturally diverse city. Like, how is it that you only know these 4 white people?
That's true.
Like, it's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Well, how is
So
this that
bizarre.
different?
Well, there's more than that. There's some diversity in there.
I just
I
remember
guess,
the
I
one
mean,
burst girl.
the
that was
girl.
black.
The girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
But I
girl.
think they
I will
The
say
girl.
with Girls, just to defend it, even though I didn't like it as it ended, with that, the reason, they did give a reason as to why she only knows people, and it's because she went to college with them and they all moved there together.
And so you can only be friends with the people.
No,
you
I'm
go to
not
college
saying that,
with.
but like other people come into play later on in the
Yeah,
show,
no.
but it's just, that's why those are her core group.
Yeah.
Hannah sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, my thing though is at least Hannah has a personality. At least I know who she is. I don't know. What were you gonna say, Linda?
Oh, I was just saying that. So we were talking about how there's only 6 episodes, and I was reading online that this first season is only the first part of her book.
Cool.
And so the second season.
Oh, okay.
So it's most likely gonna get a second season because they're gonna do the second part of the book.
Depending on the numbers, but yeah.
The one thing I can't imagine this cost that much for a premium cable show. It looked great, but it's a pretty location limited show. They're pretty much just in the restaurant and on the streets of New York. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I want this show to be good. Like, in theory, this is a show that I love. I think right now Linda's our sweet and the rest of us are our bitter. And that's okay. That's
Is
part of the show.
Starz run? I mean, I could be wrong. Is Starz run by a bunch of men, or I'm just curious if there's big women?
Actually, I have
executives.
something about this. I'm going to read something about the development of this show. Starz president and CEO Chris Albrecht said at the time, "It's a book that several of the women at Starz had read and were excited about. When we heard it may be a project, I literally had some of my female colleagues come up and say, this is one we've got to get. It plays into the young female demographic, but as we know, women of all ages will certainly be attracted to great storytelling."
Well, there you go.
Okay. Well,
So-
I mean, it's not
It's
Christina
a book
that owns
that
it.
several of the women at Starz had read.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I think there's a
I wonder if he just
lot
said
of
that.
a lot of the shows at Starz. I can tell, like they have big male executives behind. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
just-
I get. That's a good point. That's a funny quote. That quote's hilarious.
I mean, if
Because
you
it
read
definitely
slow,
sounds like
right.
he could have just several were like, give me a name.
There were some girls who read it. But I don't know, Sam, because if I look at Vita
point.
and the girlfriend experience, those seem very female to me.
The girlfriend experience doesn't to me.
Yeah.
But Vita, 100%. I
Vita.
think that is on a different level. But girlfriend experience, no. That kind. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was a little bit like porn.
It was kind of the male gaze of the female experience, you feel?
Yes, and because
That's
I mean,
fair.
our main character in that show barely had a personality.
Yeah.
She was
Okay.
a sex robot.
I haven't really seen it. I've seen just the pilot. I liked it, though. But I'm also a guy. I thought it was great. Well, okay. I want to make sure everyone's had their chance to say their piece about this show before we move on.
I think we got it.
Any
We
thoughts?
mayored this, man.
Yeah.
It's not Mayor Bet.
Well, before we move on, I want to
It's
say
not
about
Mayor
something
Bet.
I love, and that's Maria Menounos' podcast. If you guys, in fact, Sam, you take it away.
All right, guys. If you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all aspects of your life, for those who do, have we got the podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better. Guys.
Better. How to be better.
How to be better in all aspects of life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister that you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us, the TV Pilot Reviews show here at AfterBuzz, that got you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition. Check it out. I'd be interested to know what she thought about this show, to
Me
be
too.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Tess should listen to the show.
We need Tess to get on this show, absolutely.
Right.
Well, this was a good discussion, guys, and it's kind of fun to have some disagreement because we rarely do. And Linda, I do hear you, and it's making me second guess my opinions a little bit. So, what I want to know is if any of you guys in the comments really liked this show, please let us know because I want to be convinced, and I love discussing with you guys. So, if you're listening just on the podcast, guys, in your car, we do have a YouTube show that runs every Wednesday at 9 p.m. and you can join live just as Serenity HQ? Serenity
26.
Serenity 26 has.
Q26.
Serenity Q26. But that's what we're saying. We have a live chat where you can join in and discuss with us. If you're coming later, hop in those comments on the YouTube, guys, and let us know what you think. We'd love to know.
We got a recommendation for a show to do in the future too, so that's cool.
Awesome. We'll make sure we take that into account because we do take those into account. That being said, let's talk about our, let's score the show. Guys, I got to give this a 2.
Jeff,
good number.
your face. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did you give Mayor? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I want to say I gave it a 0. So.
Well, we were like so nice starting off with Mayor. I mean,
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're probably like 4.3.
I was never nice.
Well, anyway, what do the rest of you guys think of Sweetbitter?
Linda, you go.
Nope. I'm
Okay.
going last.
Linda should go
Yeah, she
last.
should go last.
Okay, fine.
She's our sweet.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Or you go?
You go.
I mean, I was going to go 2, but now I'm going to go be different. I'm 1.9.
Okay.
I'm at 2.3.
Cool.
I'm at 3.5.
Awesome.
Oh,
That feels reasonable.
Because I don't think it's the best pilot, but I definitely...
You connected with it.
Yeah, I connected
Which
with
is
it.
awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this show because it sounds like there's more novel to tell. So I wouldn't be surprised if Starz took a swing on a second season for this.
Yeah, me too.
I hate to admit it, but if it's only 6, I'm gonna watch it.
I might too.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it.
I don't see them keeping Vita and this show. One of them is going to go, especially
Yeah.
if both of their numbers are low.
Well, it better not be Vita though.
I'll be so
Vita better
sad
stay.
if Vita gets canceled.
Vita got to stay.
It'll be
If
like-
I had to choose,
Yeah.
Vita got to stay.
Well, again, let us know what you guys think. We're in the comments. And just so you guys know, we're a TV coverage network that covers everything. So if you're just finding our pilot review show, I know some of you guys for the Cobra Kai show just found us through that. We're covering just about everything. So hop on our channels, check out our content, subscribe to our podcasts. We bring all this to you out of passion and freeness. So that's a great combination for you as listeners. That's
true.
Dig into it. My name is Jeff, you guys, and I do other shows here. I also do a table read show on Fridays. We're taking a couple weeks off, but normally we're Fridays at 9 a.m., so you should check that out. And I'm also surrounded by great friends and brilliant critics, and I would love for you guys to see us out.
I am Linda Entwee, and you can find me online at Linda So Girly if you want to continue the discussion, or if you're like me and you like the show. I too also do a couple other shows, so please hit us up at AfterBuzz TV. We have a new website, and it looks amazing.
Yes, we do.
Yes, and you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43, Twitter and Instagram, SamDavidsonEntertainment.com, and in about 15 minutes, I'll be covering the Riverdale finale. So if you're into that, then tune in.
And I'm D'Angelo. You can hit me up on Instagram at D'Angelo. Got plenty of good content on there, so check it out.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. As always, thanks for being here.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.